Welcome back. The co-heads of the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, expected to meet with Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill today. Speaker Johnson writes this on X. They will discuss major reform ideas to achieve regulatory rescissions, administrative reductions, and cost savings, adding that they will revive the principle of limited government. While the incoming Trump administration targets government waste, President Biden is still spending on his climate change agenda. The Department of Energy committing more than $7.5 billion to a Stellantis joint venture with Samsung SDI to build 2 electric vehicle battery plants in Kokomo, Indiana. Joining me now is Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter, a member of the House Budget, Energy, and Commerce Committees. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joe Biden does not look like a lame duck president, right? We're in the lame duck session, and yet he's over there committing $1 billion to Africa, committing all this money to Stellantis to do these electric vehicle plants. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden's moves as he walks out the door?
These kind of midnight loans and this kind of spending that he's doing in order to further his agenda and the agenda. This is what was overwhelmingly rejected by the voters just a month ago, and yet this president continues on his goal of trying to put forth the reforms that he wants to do that the American people have rejected. So, instead of being a lame duck president and letting President Trump implement his policies, then this president is just out of control.
Well, I mean, look, clearly Joe Biden is going to do what Joe Biden wants to do, but it flies in the face of the efforts here to cut costs, right? I mean, you've got the Doge caucus in the Senate, a Doge caucus in the House, as well as Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy looking under every rock to try to cut spending. I want to bring Jonathan Fahey in here because I know your priority is the border. What does immigration mean when it comes to cost cuts? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. We're spending $150 billion a year on illegal immigration, both federal and state tax dollars. And Congressman Carter, I'd like to ask you, is there something Congress could do specifically with respect to sanctuary cities? And I know Laken Riley is something, in your state has affected you even more than others. And she is a direct result of Eric Adams' sanctuary city policies. But what can be done in terms of Congress defunding sanctuary cities, taking money from them? Or is there a consideration maybe in the SALT tax deduction, maybe not give that if they're not willing to scale back the sanctuary cities, because that would indirectly subsidize people that are thwarting ICE and their mission. What thoughts do you have on that?
Well, certainly, you make a great point, and don't underestimate what we will do, and we will make sure that they are adhering to the laws, and we're not going to tolerate this by the sanctuary cities. And yes, there will be a price to pay, and that price is going to be that we're going to implement policies to where they're not going to be able to get federal funds if they're not following the law. Now, look, what happened with Laken Riley should have never happened. She should still be with us here today, and we are going to remember that, and we remember it in the state of Georgia, and we will not forget.
Well, look, I know that, the border is the priority, and it should be. We've watched the impact of the wide open border and unvetted individuals and crime and even murder, as you say, with Laken Riley at the hands of illegals. But now we understand insiders are telling me that incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune will be pushing immediate legislation focusing on the border security and then energy production in the first 30 days of the new Congress. Sounds great, but investors and voters want the tax cuts extended. That's what they voted for, and the tax cuts extension will be pushed until later in the year. Congressman, how difficult is it going to be to do 2 separate reconciliations? Is that what you all are planning? Different reconciliations? Because we know you can't get the tax cuts extended without a reconciliation, right?
Exactly, and we've got to have the tax cuts extended. If we don't get the tax cuts extended, then we're looking at a 20% increase to the average Georgian in their price and their taxes, and they can ill afford that now with the cost of living being what it is. So yes, extending the Tax Cuts and Job Act is a high priority for us. Now, I'm not necessarily opposed to 2 different reconciliations. I'd like to know more about what the Senate is proposing here, because it may work that way, and if we can do that, then certainly I'd be welcoming it.
Well, okay, so the tax cuts expire at the end of 25. So I guess maybe the thinking is you have time for that. Because my issue here is why is it all the way at the end of 25?
Well, they don't expire until 25, until the end of 25. So obviously we've got a little bit of time. And I think the thought process is that let's go ahead and do what we know we can do, and what we know we can get past, and maybe build up some confidence, build up a little bit of momentum, and then we can go into the tax cuts. And as I say, I think that might not be a bad idea.